Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays, and welcome to the Wednesday Morning Roundtable program. I'd like to go ahead and thank our sponsors, Tompkins Trust Company, Wegmans, Allen Foundation, and the Emerson Foundation, and also to our host venue, Westminster Presbyterian Church. I'd also like to encourage you all as you sit here and maybe possibly after to fill out the survey at the registration table and suggest any new program topics that might be of interest to you. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce our panelists. We're going to be talking about our downtown businesses, and this is just a handful that we have in our downtown district. And I'd like to go ahead and introduce them. So we have Angela Didabo from Cafe 108. We have Shannon Maggio from Historic Grounds. We have Luciana Torres from 3 Leaf Tea, and Aaron Chalace from Zendan Studio. And we're going to talk about today the partnerships and the practices of their businesses and how they started their business, how they sustained through COVID, and what a terrific job they're doing and what a success they have been and a huge asset to our downtown district. So thank you very much and welcome. So I'm going to begin with the first question, and this will be for everyone. How did you get your business started? And we'll start with Angela.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Stephanie. Just to let you all know, I'm smiling behind my mask, in case it's not obvious. So Cafe 108, I think as most people here know, is owned by the non-for-profit Auburn Public Theater. So it was conceived of at the beginning back in 2003 and opened in August of 2020. Isn't it funny how it's all running together? Open for takeout and delivery in August of 2020. Open for dine and eating in May of 2021. So I think it's very fitting that we are here in a church today, because the way we got it open was through a lot of prayer. Tons and tons of prayer. I tell a story about how I once took my teenage daughter to Florida in June, who goes to Florida in June. Now I know why the plane ticket was so inexpensive. And us Northerners went to the beach one day. We hadn't looked at the weather report, and we got this really great parking spot. I mean, it looked great, sunny, clear skies, and lots of people who were at the beach were leaving. And you know, like in a moment, we understood why, because one of these huge tropical storms blew up, and we had to, you know, run to the parking lot. Nobody in our way, because we were just about the only car left. And that's sort of how opening Cafe 108 in a way feels, like when so many restaurants were closing, so many businesses were closing, so many people were moving to online. We were rushing into the water and into the storm. So I'm really only half joking when I say, you know, through a lot of great faithfulness and the belief that Auburn Public Theater was established enough, had enough fans and enough supporters that we would be able to open with limited hours, which is what we've done, and find a way to keep going. And it's very much a one day at a time operation at this point. Thanks, Stephanie.
So I own 3 Leaf Tea. I got started actually in January of 2015 as an online business. And a few months later, in August of 2015, I went ahead and opened the brick and mortar location. I started the business really because of 2 reasons. First was, I think a lot of business owners feel this way, is curiosity. Seeing what it's like to be your own boss and seeing if you can do it and be successful at it. It's a very fun challenge to take on. And second, I started the business based from a point of passion. For several years, I was a tea hater. I thought I hated it. And it wasn't until I was introduced to something that was high quality that one sip literally changed my life. I had struggled with anxiety and OCD growing up, and this caffeinated beverage just made me feel so good. I knew at my core that I wanted to share this feeling with other people, and I decided to do that through a business. So coming up in January, it's going to be 7 years I've been online, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Let's see. I didn't start the business. It was actually an already going business. Started off as Riverbend, and then it was turned into Historic Grounds a couple years ago. I acquired it through purchase this past February. For me, it was a next chapter. When it was being sold by the original owner years ago, it was something I was interested in, wanted, and was looking into, but at the time, it just wasn't a good time. I'm a mom of 7. I homeschool. There's a lot of things that I do. Soccer coach. Anything the kids needed, I was there. I was doing. So at the time, it probably wasn't the best timing for me. But moving on, chapters forward, I have obviously started a new chapter going on single mom. And this for me was kind of the next chapter because when you dedicate your life to kids and home service, you don't really have a lot of time to really dedicate to yourself and your education. And of course, I've graduated a few of them, and I've got a few left at home. But that doesn't really give you a lot of time to be able to hone skills that are marketable and things that will be life-sustaining. So for me, this was kind of the next step, and it just happened to happen at the right time for me. Of course, personal tragedy and things have happened since then, so overcoming that, moving forward, it's kind of what I'm hoping to do, and the passion to pour into people, and it also is an outlet for my kids to kind of work on their math skills, counting back change, all kinds of people skills, meeting people where they're at in their all walks of life. So when you come in, you kind of get a little bit of everything, between a listening ear to a child that might help you, and I mean 9 to 15 that might be there. My 3-year-old greets at the door. So you're going to get a family environment because that's what I come with, that's what I bring, and that's what my passion kind of combined with coffee and cafe, baked goods, and stuff like that. So I didn't start it, but I did acquire it, and I'm hoping to take it to the next level.
Okay, so I own Zendan Studio, and now I've been sitting here trying to think about what year I opened, and I can't remember. 2018 or 2019. But I lived in New York City for a while, and there's yoga studios on every corner and every building. And so when I came home, there was something missing, and I really wanted to bring that back to Auburn. I worked at a small gym, I worked at small businesses before, so I got to see kind of the background of how a small business runs and what it takes, and I felt like I could do this. A great space was available. I had looked at it a bunch of times before I actually made the step to do it, but yeah, it came out of a place of passion as well, and wanting to bring something that I love to do and I love to teach to my community. So when I was home, I felt like I was contributing to the community that I was living in. So that's kind of how Zendan came to be, and we're still here, and yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
Great, thank you. Thank you to all of you for that question. So my next question is, did you use any agencies or resources that assisted you to start up your business? And what were they?
Because I started as an online business, I did try using some resources locally, but I found that they weren't really suitable for starting an online business. It was more for the brick and mortar. So when I started the brick and mortar, I did reach out to SCORE, and I was paired up with a mentor. And I also communicated with local agencies such as the health department and City Hall just to ask any kind of questions I had about building the establishment, and they were very helpful. So I would say just those agencies around town.
Brian Anderson and I are the 2 very original founding members of Auburn Public Theater, and we spent a year going, very similarly. We had a SCORE mentor. We went to City Hall. We met with people in economic development. We met with the mayor at the time. We went to Rochester to meet with the gentleman who had started the Little Theater. We befriended Rachel Lampert, who had but she had taken over the Kitchen Theater. We sat with Ed Sales. Just anybody who we thought could give us, and we'd always ask people, like, don't tell us what you did right, tell us what mistakes you made. Because you learn so much more, I think, from your mistakes. And I can still remember so many of those conversations so clearly. I mean, people are so willing, I think, people with expertise in their field are often so willing to share their life and work experience, and that sort of continues to this day. I mean, if you talk about agencies, you know, we'd be here all day for me just to list who has helped Auburn Public Theater with funding, with advice, with mentorship. I guess anybody who's thinking about starting a business, I don't think I could speak more highly to the point about getting out there and seeking advice and perspective from people who have done what you're trying to do. It's invaluable.
Thank you. Shannon?
I'm trying to think of when it started. I know before I had acquired or went into acquisition of the cafe, I attended a small workshop where I was able to meet Meg, who I believe is here, and we were just discussing like the different business plans, different outlets in order to plug into the SBA and everything else. And so that was kind of a start to be able to sit in on and educate and learn a little bit about how things go and course correct if there was some things I got off track on and such. And then since then, through CETA and SCORE and the different programs down in the on State Street there, they've been invaluable to be able to reach out to be able to contact regarding, as Luciana said, the brick and mortar, because I don't do the online stuff, so they are really very good with that stuff. But their resources are really helpful. I have Danny Zabo that works there. I also work with her in catering industry, so it helped to have that kind of friendship there. But the previous owner was a friend of mine, so he has helped kind of plug me in. Having people in your corner that are really supportive, that are there for you to give you that pat on the back, to just say you're doing good, you know, those are kind of invaluable things on top of it, because I don't think people realize that money can come, money can go, getting the grants, getting the loans, but having people to kind of encourage and help and just be there to say you're doing good, keep going, and to help you stay on track and stay focused and stuff. So I don't know, resources are kind of come in different shapes and sizes and in different ways. And of course, you know, having a faithful following of people that come in that enjoy your product, enjoy your space, and enjoy the smiles that they get when they come in, and the jokes and such. Art critics, when you hang new stuff on the wall, you'll get them. But there's a lot of different things, so a lot of resources, I suppose.
I would say when I first started to open up, I used like the health department and codes, and I tried to call everyone that I thought would need to come and look at my space to help me. And then Chamber of Commerce, and now doing things with BID and just being present downtown as a resource, and also the other local businesses downtown as a resource as well. Seeing what they're doing, collaborating, and yeah, everyone works together, I think, in this little strip of downtown, so it's nice.
Thank you. So clearly you all have been very successful. So where I'm going with this next question is, you know, we were hit with a pandemic, right? And two of you opened up in the middle of a pandemic, which is remarkable in itself. And as well as we have other businesses downtown that did the same thing and kind of took that investment and trust into downtown and in our city to really take that leap during the pandemic. So clearly, you know, we are still in the pandemic, but you all have been successful in kind of getting to the other side of the pandemic, per se, from the initial start of the pandemic. So what can you tell us all how you had to adapt, what things you had to do differently to get to where you are today? And we'll start with Erin this time.
Okay, great. So when we initially had to close down, it was a big shock and a denial, like, oh, it'll be a 2-week thing. But realizing that it was going to be longer, what we ended up doing was shifting our classes to offering Zoom classes, which is something that we had never done before, and I was really resistant to because I just was missing that in-person connection. But a lot of our clients made that adjustment with us and started taking those online classes, and so it was a good way to keep our community together, to see people still throughout the pandemic, and It also opened up a new door to be able to get people to take classes that don't live in Auburn. And so even today, we have in-studio classes, and we still offer the Zoom option. So we have people that maybe are from Auburn but don't live here anymore, or are traveling, or don't live here at all, and started taking our classes that still come in. So when we're doing a class in the studio, we now live stream it so that people can take it from wherever. And so that's been an addition to the business that was definitely not a part of the original business plan. And it's probably something that we'll continue to do even as we move through this pandemic.
I don't think we've really done too much other than just maintain cleanliness, have a good flow, make sure that people feel buyer confidence when they come in the door that things are being addressed. It's really not going to help unless the person is comfortable leaving their home and leaving their comfort zone. So, but obviously having a good flow, keeping online ordering or phone in our sense, open for order, so people can feel like they can order, pick up, and just leave, not have to stick around for too long. For those, again, who are a little bit more anxious about what's going on around and the ups and downs of this virus and such. I kind of came in, after everything, the fear was at its highest alert. So of course, I didn't really have to experience too much of the shutdowns and such that had already come and gone. But it's a day-to-day thing, because obviously as the news creates or makes or whatever happens in the day-to-day news and such, I never know what's going to happen. I kind of just watch my numbers and see, oh, something must be going on, because the numbers are a little lower, people aren't coming in, or things. If local things around me are shut down, then I'll know if classes are postponed and such. So, but otherwise, I mean, it's really been just more of keeping up on what the standard is that we are given, that's been passed down to us, to make sure that we maintain the space as best as possible for people to feel confident coming in. And I hope to obviously improve things going forward, to improve this space so it does have a better flow where it's order, pick up, and kind of be able to circulate right through and out quickly, as well as be able to pick up at the door. So we'll move in that direction, but pretty much that's about it.
I just want to back up to Auburn Public Theater before talking about Cafe 108. So like everyone has said here, we pivoted our programming to be online like everybody else. And, as Shannon said, we gained an audience that we never would have had, in person in our building. Our dear friend Joanne O'Connor did a 3-part series. She knows people. We literally got a donation from somebody in Australia who set their clock to watch us, to watch Joanne's show live, who is a supporter of Joanne, not necessarily Auburn Public Theater. We also, in the very beginning of the shutdown, after the tragic murder of Ahmaud Arbery, we did a 3-part series with 8 gentlemen from all living in different locations. And we had thousands of people watching that series. And that's something in a 200-seat space, again, we never would have been able to accomplish. The cafe, we think, it serves everybody, but the core are Auburn Public Theater supporters. And so we feel. And so we had this long history of operating Auburn Public Theater before we opened the cafe. So gratefully, so many of those patrons just sort of transferred into the cafe. And I want to say something that the great one and only Bob Brower used to say to us. He was the president of our board on several occasions. And he used to remind us of Charles Darwin's statement that, about the survival of the fittest. And Bob used to say, remember, the fittest, luckily for me, are not the smartest or the strongest. They're the most adaptable to change. And so I think, I can't speak for my associates at Cafe 108 or Auburn Public Theater, but I think about that a lot. I wake up in the morning and I think, what do we need to do to pivot today? What's the pivot? What's the workaround? Because these are challenging times, and we do pick up the paper and we do see restaurants closing on a regular basis, and it feels, like alligators snapping at our heels sometimes. But so far, today we'll be open, so that's a good thing.
Because I started with the online business, thankfully, when the pandemic began, I didn't have to pivot anything as far as the online business goes. But once everything started shutting down, the cafes and yoga studios, that part was a little bit scary. So the first thing I did was cut the store hours, and I transitioned everything to online ordering. So people were just either calling the store or they would use an app to order online and pick up in store. I also at that point offered a curbside pickup option if people felt uncomfortable to just roll up in their car and have their order brought out to them. And that was incredibly helpful, but it definitely was, like Angela said, it does feel like alligators are snapping at your heels, and you do have to be open to pivot and be open to changing your business model, because right now everything is just, there's a lot of uncertainty in the air, I think, for a lot of restaurant businesses and cafes. So just being able to remain flexible and keeping an open mind and keep moving forward. But up until this point, I mean, we've been doing pretty well, and I consider myself very, very grateful for that.
Thank you. So the next question I want you to think about is, as you all just mentioned, how you kind of adapted to COVID. And as Angela mentioned a few seconds ago, we do see businesses that are closing, unfortunately. Out of these ideas that you just gave everyone, how you got through COVID or are getting through, can you give some of the other businesses, just in one word, something that would be sustainable for them to maintain sustainability in the future? And we'll start with Shannon.
Geez, one word for them to grab onto for future.
That would be encouragement or something to hold on to that has helped you.
Perseverance. I really couldn't stress enough, because pivots are kind of, I don't know, maybe putting it mildly, in my case, it's been more like potholes or like just complete barriers, and you hit and you realize, kind of feel like a labyrinth you hit and you have to go around, find another path. Perseverance, keep it up, keep going, keep looking. You'll find something that will really make you stand out, but really perseverance.
Great, thank you. Erin.
I would say the word would be community. The community that you've built, rely on them, ask them questions, listen to them, see what they want and how they can support you, because they will show up for you. And your community can get you through a lot.
I would say determination. I believe you have to be determined in this environment, because if you aren't determined, if you can't pivot, if you can't be flexible, as others have mentioned, it's going to be very, very difficult to move forward. So, determination.
So I'm last, so Shannon took my word, perseverance. So I'd like to share that with you, Shannon. But the other thing that came up, and of course I'm so chatty, it's 2 words, and those 2 words are big picture. And I think that, all of us on the stage have done really hard things. And so by maintaining that perspective that nothing lasts, and that, like the Spanish flu saw an end from 1918 to 1920, hopefully we too will put this safely in the rearview mirror. And so if we can just remember that this is a moment in time that will not last, and to, I guess, be alive in the future, while we are maintaining what we're doing today, to also have a big picture for what's coming next, and projecting ourselves into that, that sort of like imagery work, instead of the alternative. Thanks.
Thank you. So segueing into kind of what Erin touched upon with community, I'm really big, and also at BID, we are very, very big about collaboration and partnerships. And I believe very strongly in collaborations and partnerships, and that's where you see a lot of success happen. You know, as the old saying is, excuse me, we are better together than alone. So I'd like to know from all of you, and some of you are doing this, which is beautiful to see downtown. You know, perfect example of Luciana 3-Leaf Tea merging into Zendan and having that partnership. And we see other businesses in the downtown district doing the same thing, whether it might be a chocolate tasting with a wine tasting on a Friday night incorporated into First Fridays. But what I'd like to know from all of you is what kind of collaborations and partnerships that you have had that you have found successful to help your business, especially with sustainability in the times that we're in. And we'll start with Angela.
So the other day, on Saturday, this young guy came in for a breakfast sandwich, and he was sitting by himself and talking on his Bluetooth. And it wasn't that busy, so I had a chance to chat with him for a few minutes. I knew how long it was going to take for that breakfast sandwich to be made, so that's the advantage. So I knew how long I had to chit-chat with him. And it turns out that he's just moving to central New York from another state. And he was looking for housing, and he was looking in the Syracuse area. And I asked him, you know, if there was a particular reason he was looking in Syracuse, and he kind of told me what it was he wanted, and he wasn't really able to find that in Auburn. And so I just called Joe Bartolota directly. I said, I have a guy sitting here who's interested in an apartment. It sounds like Logan Lofts could be a really good fit. Just the other day I was thinking, what must that have looked like to this poor customer who just came in for a breakfast sandwich? Like all of a sudden I'm like the housing maven. I'm not sure what happened, what the outcome was, but I could not agree more that it's these kinds of partnerships. You know, again, if I know people are visiting from out of town, I ask, you know, how long are you here for? What are your interests? You know, and his other historic and cultural sites are gratefully, very kindly sending people to Cafe 108, and we are doing the same and sending people to the other sites, to the Equal Rights Heritage Center, trying to do what we can in these very odd times to weave that interconnectedness, which is such a grassroots experience. I mean, certainly there's marketing and ads and all the social media stuff, but there's nothing like word of mouth. So I would say we all at the cafe take that part of what we're doing downtown very seriously. We plan to bake our own bread eventually, but that's something that, you know, in this abbreviated schedule of Cafe 108, we are not quite up and running with that. So we bring in bread from the patisserie, and I go there to pick it up almost every morning, and there's a whole truck that's taking patisserie bread to Syracuse. And then there's on the stairs 2 bags of bread going to Cafe 108. So they said as soon as there are more customers in this direction, you know, they'll send a truck. But in the meantime, we have to pick it up, no problem. But it's amazing, and we sell the patisserie bread loaves as well. And it's amazing how many people have been introduced to that. The last specific thing I want to talk about is our art wall. So we have artists who hang their show on our art wall for 2 months at a time, and all that work is for sale. 100% of the proceeds go to the artist. And that's, you know, every 2 months since we opened 18 months ago. I cannot say, you know, more strongly that, I mean, rising tide raises all ships, we know this, but we have witnessed this in very concrete ways in the last 18 months, more than we ever have. And we've been downtown. Carrie and I started, we took over a pizza shop in 2001 until 2007, but the theater 2005. So we have a lot of data. From being downtown all these many years, and there's only one way out, and it's through collaboration, I think.
The biggest partnership, which Stephanie touched base on, was joining Erin at the Zendan. I remember when Erin came up to my store and she said, what's going on? Because my lease was ending, and she had heard that I was thinking about moving into a bigger location, and she had told me that or she had asked me if I would like to take over the cafe side. And deep down, when she first asked me, I knew it was an immediate yes. But of course, I had to take time with it, because, you know, you shouldn't jump into such a big commitment without knowing the background. But Erin's a great person, and it's been great up until this point. So that was a huge step in the right direction. And a bunch of other little partnerships that have happened just being part of the downtown, the business improvement district. They've done a lot of various events around town, things for First Friday. I've also had a partnership, it was a few years ago, with Three Brothers Winery. They started wholesaling my tea there, and they reached out to me and they decided to do a whole matcha weekend event. So they were doing green tea cocktails and food. It was very unexpected, but I really appreciated that. I didn't think that they were going to make such a big event out of one product that I was wholesaling to them. And I've just had several, I guess, pockets of opportunities, especially on the online front. There was also a tea subscription box that's pretty large. They're called Sips By. I had 500 placements in their subscription box, and just recently they reached out asking for 4,000. So it's just been really fun, and within the community, just having these little pockets of opportunities. There's way too many to name. I could spend hours probably telling you every single event or partnership that's happened downtown, but it's really amazing being downtown. I love it, and I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that downtown has presented for my business.
So years ago, being a mom of 7, one of my other passions was that I was in the natural baby and mothering line of things and such. And that was years ago, online predominantly. But as I phased that out and obviously just dedicated my time to, one of the things that I took away from that was that trying to start up was really challenging when you didn't meet the right people that were willing to kind of offer the information that you obviously would be beneficial to you. So it was something I took away from that. So today, being in the in historic grounds, I made it a mission that anybody trying to start out should be able to benefit from the things I've learned. So anytime I find somebody that's starting out, whether it be a small product, honey, local honey, or kettle corn, or homemade jewelry, or homemade cosmetics, or a line of skincare, or something like that. It's been something that I've really made it a point to. They're welcome to bring it in. I want them to have the shelf space. I want them to learn. I want to be able to help encourage, because I acquired the knowledge, but that doesn't mean it's proprietary to me and it's beneficial to somebody else. I don't want them to have to go through some of the pitfalls that I had to go through and learn in the hard way. So I had a young lady that is out of Weedsport, just starting up roasting her own coffee. And I'm super excited for her because I want to offer her coffee and be able to do a taste testing. But one of the things that I noticed or recognized was she was very, very a little bit on the lack of knowledge of like cost of and so on. So when her ideas, which were really grand and very exciting to hear, they seemed a little bit lacking when it came to knowledge of whether it would actually sustain under what she was saying. So, I was excited to be able to say, look at, give me, if you want time, I'll give you time. I don't have a problem with that. Let's sit down and go over your costs. Let's go over what it's going to cost you to do this, because you might find out it wasn't really a sustainable model for her to offer it at the cost she wanted to. And in her excitement, I think she was just missing that element, but she had her costs down for maybe roasting, but not maybe on the retail end. And it's a conflict with me, obviously. I look at it because at some point, if she ever got big, she's selling coffee, I sell coffee. But really, at the end of the day, I want to just say, I want her to succeed. I don't succeed on my own. I have help from other people. So my help is obviously something I can offer. So when I offer kettle corn from Silver Street Road, or I offer Uncle Rick's honey, or I offer dope soaps, for me, the big thing was being able to cross-market is a big thing. They mention, I mention, we constantly keep a conversation flowing online, which is the bulk of what our marketing is done. We don't have traditional newspapers anymore. Taking ads out is kind of a thing of the past. So now it's really going to be a lot of Facebook presence, a lot of Instagram presence. Some people do TikTok. I don't know much about a lot of the other ones, but those two are big ones. And it's really helpful and beneficial. And of course, if I can share the space and have, like I said, her come in, she can explain her product, do a taste testing at my location. It grows her space in Weedsport. It grows her knowledge, or knowledge of her product elsewhere. And it's not for me to make money on, it's for me to be able to help. And again, we all succeed if we all help each other out. If I'm not an expert at it, I'd rather send somebody there and get the best experience elsewhere and build them up versus me trying to take on something and be an expert in that area. It's just not beneficial to the community. So that's kind of where the direction I'm heading in, and where we kind of collaborate and market, is to really help small businesses. My passion is to help other people to kind of be able to build their brand, their product, their space, and their presence in the community as well.
Okay, so I'll touch on a little bit on my end of the collaboration that happened with Zendan and Three Leaf as far as sustainability goes, because I moved into this space that really is two different spaces, and I was running the studio and the cafe, and it was a lot of work. And so when I heard that Three Leaf was possibly moving or not going to have a brick and mortar anymore, it seemed like one of those great collaborations, because people would come to the studio with a Three Leaf matcha. And I'm like, we have the same clientele. Like, your people are coming to my studio, people from the studio are walking up to get matcha. Like, if we were in the same space, that would benefit our clients. And so it really has, I think. Our clients love it. We've gained new clients because of that collaboration, and it's been wonderful and sustainable for both of us to still be downtown and get all the benefits of that. And collaborating, I think just collaboration over competition always. We're all downtown. We all provide different services. Being able to find things that complement each other and elevate each other's business is huge. And partnering for different events or bringing people in from out of town, or sending your products to other places. These are all things that have to happen for a business to sustain. And hearing what you guys are doing and seeing what I'm doing, like bringing different instructors in for events and promoting other people that do massage or facials, things that I don't do, but maybe some of my clients would really enjoy. All those things circle back to you. And like Angela said, word of mouth is still one of the best ways to market yourself, to get your name out there, and to bring people in. So yeah.
Great, thank you. I love hearing those stories about collaboration, because again, I just feel so strongly about it. It's exactly where it's at. So moving on to, how are you drawing in your customers and your clients into your business, and what marketing tools are you using to market your particular business? We'll start with Luciana.
I focus a lot on the online side of things. So as far as promoting that, I do run things like Google ads and Facebook ads. I also do work on online collaborations with other companies. For in-store, it's been basically word of mouth. I haven't felt comfortable running ads locally just because I'm right downtown, and I've always thought that's, I don't know, a little strange. People on the internet don't know I exist, but people in town, I do feel they do know I'm there, and if your product is good, I believe that organically they'll come to you, and that's kind of what I've built my business on, is just word of mouth and having fun events. I've used events as a promotional tool. For example, Small Business Saturday was a couple weeks ago, so I did the first 20 customers that come in the door, they got a gift, and I just had various things set up during the day. Time to time, I might come out with a new drink special just to encourage somebody that maybe hasn't tried the product but are curious about it because it's something new and exciting. So that's as far as I've gone as far as promotional things for in-store.
Again, back to Auburn Public Theater. So we've been operational at APT since 2005, 2006. So we have a pretty large database of email addresses, and we send a weekly email newsletter. And we're using this time while the theater is still pretty quiet to promote Cafe 108. It's featured in all of the email newsletters. We also do all the usual suspects, Instagram, Facebook. I believe that, we try to make the freshest, most delicious food at affordable prices. I think nothing speaks to a business like the product itself. We had some folks who, and I'm not going to say who, it doesn't matter, but they're across the street from us, so that's a wide range. And it was a year before they came in because they didn't realize that we were open. It's always really fascinating to me, like, what did you think all the people coming in and out were doing? But again, we had been in construction for so long, so maybe they had just thought they were an extension of the construction workers. Once they came in, this particular group of people, they come in pretty regularly. So I think it's all the usual tools, and then making sure that we are holding the line with quality of product.
So I also do a monthly newsletter. I think that's a great way to reach people if you do build up an email list. The social media platforms are definitely helpful, but testimonials, word of mouth, people bringing their friends in, their family members in, because when somebody experiences your services and they're good services, that quality does speak volumes. And so I think holding that and allowing people to have those experiences, being in community events. I try to donate gift cards at raffles so people can see that there's a place here and that they can try a class out. So still trying to be really grassroots and communal in the advertising, but also not getting away from the social media platforms and those newsletters.
Pretty much the social media has been a big thing. I'm not from around here, but I've been in and around here for so long that I'm acquiring here and there, and people know about me maybe through soccer practice and coaching for years and stuff and community things, but I can't say that I really have like an actual network of friends until actually Historic Grounds. The previous owner, it helped to kind of buy from somebody who is an integral into the community by way of his service or his business and stuff, so that has helped. But really just, I guess, offering what you offer that does get around, and having stuff that people want. I mean, it really can't, you can, blast your name all over the place, but unless it's something somebody's looking for and they're offering a product that they want, and brings them back because they found it to be good the first time, then they'll spread it. I had someone in Pennsylvania come in and say, I heard all we've been PA about your chicken salad. I was like, oh, I didn't know we went that far, but okay, great. That's wonderful. So, I think, again, it's just bringing in that one product, 2 products, 3 products, I don't know, something. The environment, I know, has brought people. I did carry over a good group of people that were, again, already coming there, so it carried over to keep the consistency. The professional offices are what keep my Monday through Friday going, so I'll figure out something for the Saturday and Sunday crowd as I open that up to a particular menu for that. And but social media has been a big thing, and really people just, again, sharing your page, sharing your product, sharing your information quite a bit, and word of mouth. But yeah, I can't stress enough, social media, it's pretty much where everything has gone, and everything where it's at, pretty much.
Thank you. I just want to kind of add to everything that you've all said and touched upon. I see, as being the bid director, in addition to bid promoting all the businesses in our downtown, advocating for the businesses, what is really neat to see is all the businesses advocate for everybody else. And, I see that firsthand, where there'll be other business owners, somebody's coming in from out of town, exactly what you're saying, looking for a product. Shop local, go up to 3 Leaf, go over to Cafe 108. There's that lot of connection, which again, right, it ties back to the collaboration and the partnerships and the close-knit community that we are and that we have, that everybody looks out for each other. If you remember back when COVID started, and Facebook especially, the big kind of trend was any of the businesses downtown, if you had takeout and you had a great experience, please take a picture post it on Facebook so that everybody else, and it can circulate and people can share it, kind of to what you're saying, Shannon. So, I like seeing that with all our businesses downtown. They really kind of look out for one another, they support each other, and they also take that extra effort to suggest, stay here, go to Cafe 108, go to historic grounds, go to the Liberty store, you need boots, go to Sam's. So there really is that I have your back type of motto that really happens downtown, which is really great to see. So it's good to hear you all say that. Thank you. So my last question that I have for you before we take some questions is, what would you like to see in the future? What is your vision for your particular business? Or what would be your vision for the downtown district and the community to see happen that would help your business? And we'll start with Angela.
As I said, I started working downtown in 2001. We had a pizza shop, and we had 7 or 8 delivery guys. They were all guys. And the bulk of our business was Friday and Saturday night takeout food. And those guys could pull up and park wherever they wanted, close to the pizza shop. I mean, they never had to park in the back. There were never any cars. It was like Wall Street. After 5 o'clock, it just emptied out. And when we started Auburn Public Theater, we used to joke around. I hope this is not an insensitive joke, but we used to joke around that when we start having parking issues, when there's a lack of parking, we'll know that we're reaching some level of success, because there had been literally just a parking lot on the main strip, an open parking lot. We, along with many other people, had a vision for people living downtown. It seemed crazy in 2001, 2, 3 that people would want to live downtown. We talked about coffee shops and bookstores and small retail shops. And I think one by one, again, a whole group of us doing this economic development and this, downtown revitalization work have seen it happen. So I would say my hope is that the trajectory continues, and that we have more parking problems. We have parking problems forever. There's nowhere to park. There's so many people that want to come downtown. And that the goods and services that are available just continue to expand, and the storefronts just continue to expand until it's just airtight. Every single ground level floor is occupied by something that's thriving, and all of the upper levels are developed for housing, and the festivals continue, and Auburn continues to thrive.
I've been part of downtown for quite some time. I started working at Mesa Grande when they first opened. I can't remember what year that was, but I was there for 5 years. And just seeing the difference from the theater and all these amazing breweries and places opening up around town, it's been so cool to just be part of the downtown scene and see how it's been changing, because the same thing that Angela said, I do remember people didn't go downtown for any reason. It's like you went there if you had something to do. You had to go to the DMV or you had to go to the bank. But now there are so many amazing places, and I just see it growing from here, especially with the grants that have been provided to the downtown community. And as far as my personal business goes, I definitely see myself going global with the online business. I have been shipping all over the world. One of my regular customers is actually in Australia. That's probably my farthest one. So it's definitely been expanding in that department, and I'm just gonna keep moving forward. I really could see it just being a worldwide brand, not only a local brand, and I hope that downtown continues to grow, because it's a really incredible place to be.
I definitely agree with Angela. The growth of businesses in the area that will help to bring a reason for why people come downtown is going to be huge. Again, the steady customer flow that I have is predominantly the professional industry, the DA's office, the attorneys, and different business owners down there that are on the professional level. But that's Monday through Friday. Come weekends, it's very difficult because people leave the area to go shopping, or they're in different locations to shop. So it does present a little bit of a challenge to how to capture the business for the weekend. So it would be obviously helpful if we see more and more help and assistance for those who have visions and dreams to open up space of retail of their own and grow the retail space downtown. So that'll be huge, and I do agree. I think it's definitely up and coming and it's growing. So hopefully we will see more of that. Personally, the space, as I said, I acquired February, March area time frame. So for me personally, I'd like to see it grow. The space is a challenge for me, and it was when I went into it. So now just trying to figure out how to make the space functional for what I'd like to see and grow. And personally, as I said, as a homeschooling mom, one of the big joys I've had was always teaching my kids how to cook and to the culinary arts aspect. So baking was a huge thing and still is in my home. My kitchen's designed around it, so I'd like to be able to provide that in my own space. But again, it has some challenges to overcome. So at some point, being able to grow my baking and incorporate the culinary arts with my kids in that space as well, to grow that and be able to provide a lot more of my own product line there and stuff. So growth there is going to be a big thing as I overcome the challenges of the space. But I think it's doable, and it's exciting to see what happens in the upcoming days and months with businesses around as well.
As far as growing out of COVID, I've definitely had to make my classes smaller just because of space. So I do hope in the next year that can expand and more people can take in-person classes together, and I can bring in more people that offer different unique things for events for the community. And then just being downtown as a whole, even since I've opened not that long ago, other businesses have opened, a lot of women-owned businesses have opened, and it's been really exciting to be a part of that growth and just keep expanding through that, and hoping that everyone that is open right now can stay open and that new places join us soon.
Great. Thank you to all of you. Now we're going to kind of just transition to see if there's any questions that anyone has. So I will open it up to all of you. Any questions you have for any of our panelists? Don't all jump at once. Okay, if not, again, I'd really like to thank all of you, your dedication, your due diligence to downtown and to our community is immeasurable, and I really want to thank all of you. I know it's definitely hard work, takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, especially with what we're facing with our pandemic and our staffing shortages, and it's a true testament to how strong you all are and how you can overcome just about anything. So again, congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. Just a few housekeeping notes. I just want to mention that on January 19th, the program is going to be the demographic changes in Cuyahoga County, which will be moderated by Guy Constantino and presented by Jan Vink from the University of Cornell's Applied Demographics program. So on behalf of BID, on behalf of Wednesday Morning Roundtable, thank you so much for coming and joining us, and have a wonderful holiday, and we will see you all in January. Thank you.